Hello knitters, I'm Helen of Curious Handmade and I chat about knitting, my work as a knitwear designer and inspiration to lead a happy and creative life. Today I wanted to share with you an update about my current work on designing a sweater and just a bit of a general chat about sweater knitting. I thought I would start off with some recent inspiration from Pom Pom magazine, and I wanted to share a little bit about this issue with you. It's not the most recent issue now, it's number 37, and I recently received it. The lovely people at Pom Pom sent me a copy because I was so in love with this design, the Lodestar sweater. It's a new design by Kirsten Rovetta, and she has knit the sample in Magpie Fibre Company Solstice DK, and it's just such a gorgeous combination of some beautiful detail at the top across the shoulders and a really simple silhouette and stockinette on the body. This issue is called Like a Bird and was inspired by the birds outside our windows as we were home in various lockdowns around the world. And so the inspiration behind a lot of the designs is birds, and this description says, "Birds are a marvel of navigation and their bodies have evolved to help them find their way along migration routes that span across oceans and continents. Iron concentrations in their brain respond to the Earth's magnetic poles, sensors in their beaks help them sense an olfactory map, and their eyes and brains allow them to imprint useful constellations and landmarks. Navigational constellations are called lodestars, and the most famous amongst them is Polaris, the North Star." So I think this design is just gorgeous, and when I saw it on Instagram I immediately went to my stash and thought about what yarn I could knit it in. Actually, that's not quite true. What I did first was have a look online to see what yarn I could buy to make this sweater, and then thought, no, Helen, see what's in your stash. And I think I have the absolute perfect yarn in my stash for this. I bought this Triskelion Arthur DK at the Edinburgh Yarn Festival several years ago now, and this is British Wensleydale, spun and hand dyed in the UK. It's 100 grams and 230 meters, and yeah, I just think, isn't this a gorgeous color? And when I bought it, I got an extra contrasting skein. I don't know whether I was thinking I might do some color work at one stage, but I think that would be pretty gorgeous. It would be a very subtle color work, probably wouldn't show up very well, but maybe I was thinking about a contrast somewhere in a sweater. But yes, I think I just loved this color, and maybe there was only one skein left of this particular color that I really loved, so I thought I'll buy it. But I also loved this beautiful deep, I don't know, ocean blue. Just looks like an ocean to me. So that's a design that I'd like to knit of someone else's. So now I'll tell you a little bit about my own design progress and work. I have been collecting sweater quantities of yarn for some time now with the idea of designing a sweater. Haven't quite had the courage to start any projects until recently. Earlier this year I signed up for an online course called Sweater Design School by Claire Mountain, and that was so helpful and confidence boosting. It's prompted me to finally start having a go at designing a sweater, and I wasn't really able to complete the class at the time because I was doing a lot of other design work, but I will be going back to the lessons as I go along through my through my design. Claire had so many helpful tips and techniques. So that was a super boost to start working on this project. I decided to start with this beautiful yarn, which is Law by the Fibre Company, and it's Wool as a Story is the tagline for this particular yarn. And it is made of 100% lamb's wool from the Romney sheep breed. It's an honest woolen spun DK weight yarn that blooms into a beautiful knitted fabric, perfect for everyday knits. I did do a swatch and I just wanted to see how the fabric blooms, and it is so lovely, just so soft and fuzzy and cozy. That makes a beautiful fabric. And I thought I'd start with a fairly simple construction, and so I'm doing a yoke pullover from the top down, and I have decided to include this beautiful lace stitch pattern, which is from the Rewilding shawl. So if this gets to the stage of production of a final pattern, it will probably be called the Rewilding pullover. And so now I'm just at the stage of a lot of stockinette for the body, and I have a couple more inches to knit of the body and then the sleeves. I'm thinking about, for the sleeves, doing a sort of a little bit of a balloon or bell shaped sleeve. So not doing any decreases until the wrist and then pulling it in tightly at the wrist to make a little bit of a poofy sleeve. I thought that might suit the kind of gentle romantic style of the lace around the yoke. So yeah, so that's my design progress so far. I'm really pleased with it. Maybe when I finish the body, I'll block it just to see how it's looking before I start the sleeves. And yeah, I'm really enjoying knitting this yarn. It's a little bit toothy, as they say, when you have a yarn with a bit of grip to it. So it's not super fast to knit like some of the Fibre Company yarns, just fly off the needles. This has got a little bit more grip to it, but it makes it a beautiful feel of the fabric to have in your hands. And so that's my progress so far on my very first sweater design. I'm not 100% sure if this will make it to a final pattern. I will have to get it off the needles and block it and see if I can grade it and all those things that are more complications to knitting a garment than there are to doing something like socks or shawls. I do socks and shawls in a couple of other sizes other than the initial size I start with. So there is a little bit of grading involved, but it's not nearly as complicated as multiple sizes for a pullover. But I think, I don't know, I'm hoping that starting with a simple shape and construction will be helpful in that regard. And in the meantime, I have been gathering lots of inspiration and ideas for more designs down the track. So I must have some confidence that I'll be able to do it. Or maybe I just get carried away with buying yarn, I don't know. But I just thought I'd share a little bit about some of the other sweater quantities I've purchased recently. And I think without exception, they've all been inspired by Instagram posts. So I recently saw this lovely yarn by Aroha Knits, and I didn't know how long she's been doing yarn. Aroha Knits has been doing designs for some time now. I think the yarn is a fairly new venture. This is 100% non-superwash merino. So that appealed, the fact that it's non-superwash. It's a DK weight, and this lovely blue color is Kohu, which is mist, Marry for mist, and this one is Ra, which is sun. So I have 6 skeins of each of these 2 colors, and I'm thinking that I might knit a second sample of the rewilding, a second size in one of these colours if the pattern works out, or when the pattern works out I should say, because I can make it work as they say. The other sweater quantity, I mentioned this I think in my June favourites video, or a recent video, that I got a sweater quantity of this gorgeous Corrie worsted weight yarn from La Bien Aimée. This colour is Dawn, and I bought a sweater quantity of this, and I don't know, what do you think? Do you think this colour will suit me? I'm thinking this will make an absolutely gorgeous cardigan, and I don't really have a definite idea of style of cardigan yet, but I think this yarn will tell me what it wants to be. I also bought several other colorways because I just fell in love with the yarn when I saw it on the La Bien Aimée Instagram feed recently. And so I thought, well, while I'm at it, I may as well get a decent amount. This one is High Garden. It's a beautiful mauve. I think Christina Vullenvine would probably quite like this color. And this is Caramel, which is just delicious. Sandstone. So I was thinking I wanted to compare the High Garden and the Sandstone as a contrast, or as a complement to some of these other colors. And I also got a couple of skeins of this Hegalia. I'm not sure how to pronounce that. I think it's probably French. So this Corrie worsted weight yarn is 75% Falkland Corriedale and 25% Gotland. And I am such a big fan of Gotland. I absolutely love it. It's just has so much character. And so yes, I have some 100% Gotland yarn in my stash that is, I don't know, I just think it's so beautiful. And it was a big favourite of Sue from Blacker Yarn, who was the previous owner and original founder of Blacker Yarn in the UK. And yes, and I often think of her when I think of Gotland. And yes, so very happy to see it in this blend. Yeah, I'm really excited to work with all of these yarns, and I just wish there were a few more hours in the day to knit. Last but not least, I've also been swatching some of this beautiful Circus Tonic handmade Carnival DK, and Hannah sent me some of this for a potential sweater design a few months ago, and it is 100% non-superwash wool as well in a DK weight. This colour is Cumulonimbus. I started off with, I think, a 4mm needle, and I thought the fabric was a little bit dense, so then I started swatching with a slightly bigger needle, and then I went up to a 4.5mm needle size, and I think I'm happier with the more relaxed fabric on the slightly bigger needle. So again, I'm really excited to design something with this beautiful yarn. I love the slight little darker stripes that go through it. I think that's a really exciting feature of this yarn, and I don't really have any progressed ideas about this design either at this stage, but it's now percolating in my mind, and I am just sort of casting about for inspiration and waiting for this yarn to tell me exactly what it wants to be as well. So that's a little bit of a insight into my new sweater design process, and I hope you've enjoyed seeing all those beautiful yarns. Happy knitting, and I'll talk to you again soon.